Destiny. I'm also the owner of KK Photography in Waterford on Main Street, if you would think that I look like somebody that you've seen before. So connect the dots. We run Changing a Destiny out of our studio there. This idea of, in the book of Isaiah, when he says, whom shall I send? When Linda and I were talking about that, it's, and then he says, here I am, send me. Well, I wasn't as willing as Isaiah when I first started or thinking about changing a destiny. I remember sitting at my friend Tracy's kitchen table going, God keeps putting this idea on my heart, and I just, you know, I've ran a business for 20 plus years, but I've never started a nonprofit. But when he asks, and he keeps tapping on my shoulder every single morning, it's hard to say no. So that was the beginning of it. And actually, that wasn't the beginning of it, now that I think about it. The beginning of it was 2017. You see that picture there next to Linda. I was asked to go to Kenya with another nonprofit to help build, a pregnancy crisis center. So when I was over there, we went to visit an orphanage, and I met this little boy, Raymond, and he was a product of what I was trying to help over there. And the pregnancy crisis center, that was to help young girls that were getting pregnant not by choice in their village. And it could be a family member's fault, it could be a neighbor, but they still got kicked out of their village because they were ashamed to their family. So these young women would go and pretty much be on the streets their whole pregnancy. No, seeing doctor, prenatal, none of that. And they literally throw these babies away. And unfortunately, that's what happened to Raymond. So when I heard Raymond's story, how he was found shortly after birth and had his umbilical cord still attached, a Good Samaritan found him, took him to the hospital. He ended up at Baby Life Rescue, which is the orphanage that we visited when I was over there in 2017. So one of our host people, her name is Nicole, she's Kenyan. If you get a chance, you can take a look here. She's right here on the end. Her and I got to be real close, real fast over there, and we kept in touch when I came back here. And then when COVID happened, she's a school teacher, I'm self-employed, so of course everything was shut down, and we would do a lot of Bible studies through Zoom. I figured out how to use Zoom, which was a whole new world. And so back up a little bit. So when I came back from Kenya, I wanted to adopt Raymond and bring him home, but Americans couldn't adopt at that time. And so Nicole and her husband would go visit Raymond, take pictures and videos, send them to me, and just reassure me he's fine, he's doing good. And she sent me a photo of her and her husband and Raymond. And God had put it on my heart to ask her to adopt. Now that's a pretty big ask of a new friend. So I was thinking it was my own flesh, it wasn't God speaking. So we had a Bible study at my photography studio, and I asked the ladies there to pray with me, and one of the ladies was on the trip, so she's seen this whole thing unfold. And she said, if you ask them and they accept, I'll pay for all the adoption fees. I'm like, well, now I gotta ask. I mean, is that not a sign or what? So I went ahead and asked, and she said that God had already put it on her and her husband's hearts, and they took him home shortly after that. So yeah. He's now 8 years old, and there's a picture of us reunited in 23. And I've been watching him grow up through Zoom call. So every time his mom and I have a Bible study, he'll peek in and, many times play peekaboo behind mom and, try not to get him in trouble. But, so yeah, he's very smart. His mom's a teacher. He's very smart. He speaks English and Swahili, and very good English. He's shy. Right now, he's really shy. But as soon as I pull out a basketball or kickball or something, he lights right up, and then he's good. So He did go to school a few years ago and told his teacher he had 2 moms. And so he calls me Mama Kathy. So the teacher had to explain what that was. So in 2020, Nicole and I, Bible study, God started laying it on both of our hearts at the same time. And that's when I would babysit for Tracy and sit at her table and say, I don't know, I'm not sure what, if we should do this. And so she would really encourage me at the beginning, and I thank her for that. And she still does to this day. I'll send her an idea, and she encourages me. So here we are 5 years into this. We have 2.5 acres of land. We have a church. I did not bring the picture of the church. But now we have a school. And this past January, we took a team of 11 with us, and the family, Joanne and Richard Wolfel, they are the ones that are supporting the school. Joanne's 82, she came with us on the trip. She's hiding behind over where Nicole is. But her and her husband supported the school, paid for it to be built. And during the ribbon cutting, she made an announcement that they're gonna be donating the funds to put another set of classrooms on top. So that just finished, so there's 4 more classrooms, so we'll be able to go up to 6th grade with the classes now. And she's actually coming back in January. She's bringing her daughter, 3 grandchildren. We have another group of 12 going. So, and Jennifer is on the board of directors, and she's actually was the connection to Joanne and Richard. And Joanne spoke at her church and said, the power of one woman. And Jennifer is an example of that. How she went into her CPA, she had her own business at the time, she's now retired. She went in and asking him for a $50 a month donation to sponsor one of our children. Well, he's like, well, what else do you need? And she's like, well, let me get in here and we'll talk about it. So
let me go get my friend.
So Jennifer is a huge part of the school, and she also helped fund the church over there too. So she volunteers her time, and she's just amazing at it. And then I want to thank Monica. She's new to our team. She comes along and helps us, and God has really brought the right people around this mission. And I see it all the time. I was texting Monica the other day, and she's like, I just feel like I need to be doing more. I'm like, okay, yeah, let's see what I can have you do. So I'm pulling her into the sponsorship part of it. But it's just a story of what Linda was saying, how being bold, if there's something stirring inside of you, like, oh, I can't do this, I can't do this. I don't have the education for this. I mean, I've always been the helper when it comes to nonprofits. I've never started a nonprofit. But God brought a lawyer into my studio right at the right time. I was praying about it. We did exchange of services. She laid out the whole 501c3, said, here you go if you have questions. It's just, he brought the right people at the right time. And how can you say no to that? And that's where the power of prayer and asking God, okay, this is what I need. Help me with that. And he would. I'm like, okay, we're going to keep going, keep doing this. So we also started this past year a vocational school, because 90% of the kids that come to our school, they're single moms. Dad comes and goes, so a lot of them have 8, 9, 10 kids. And so now we're trying to counsel them on birth control, and there's a shop that they can get over there now. So we're helping with that too. So the vocational school is nice because we got 8 sewing machines, I think 8 or 9 sewing machines donated. So we got that going, and they're making dresses, they're making purses. The items that we have here from Kenya are not made by our women yet, but when we go in January and come back, we'll have. But those are made by another nonprofit over there that they train and teach young women and adult women that have a handicap. They're in a wheelchair, but they're able to sew. So that's, we support them. And so a lot of that stuff, a lot of it is from other nonprofits. And we also have a cookbook. We have 3 cooks that cook over a campfire 2 times a day. And we have 90 children in the school right now. So we dedicated the cookbook to them. They don't know it yet, but when we go back in January, we're gonna show it to them, and then their names are inside. And we have a QR code. You scan it, go to our YouTube channel, and you'll actually see them working in the kitchen. It's a temporary kitchen with a tin roof. It's nothing pretty, but that's one of our next goals, is to start the cafeteria. We did just raise funds for it's a regular stove to them, so they're not having to bend over for the campfire. It's basically like 2 kennels, but there's a pot in it, and then they put firewood underneath, and it's just more self-sufficient. So, yeah, so we got a lot going on. We're helping a lot of kids. We have another group coming in January when they start the new school, so we'll have 123 kids starting January 2026. So our biggest need right now is sponsorship, is getting the kids sponsored, so that way we can be fully funded monthly. We do have fundraisers, art walk in the fall, wine and beer tasting in the spring in Waterford, and then also obviously purchasing items that we have. But I'm really here today to talk about how God uses us and our gifts, and being bold and going out and doing it even when you don't feel educated. You don't feel like you're going to get the support. You just don't feel worthy. So I really encourage you, if there's something stirring up inside, talk to somebody about it. Come talk to me. I love to talk about stuff like that. So, and then Jennifer, you want to talk a little bit about sponsorship?
Sure. I'm rebuking the spirit of fear right now. I am not one to get up and talk. I'm always Kathy's shadow. Sponsoring these children is where my heart is. We didn't even have the 90 sponsored, now we have 120. So I'm type A, I want to get these kids sponsored. You watch TV and you see all these children who need help. I always kind of ignored that because I never really knew where my money was going. I didn't feel connected to that, and I just didn't feel called to that. Kathy dragged me down to Kenya, and I saw firsthand these babies that I just couldn't believe my eyes when I got there, and they're all together and they're singing this song welcoming us, and I was just brought to my knees. And then I've been there then again in the following year to kind of know these kids more, and they're just so precious. They don't ask for anything. They're so grateful for the smallest nothing thing. I think that's what touches me the most, is their joy and their love for God, and how grateful they are for the smallest thing, which makes me want to give them more, and just really listen to what God wants me to do for them. So needless to say, these precious ones need a sponsor. For $50 a month, it gets them a whole lot. Their uniforms, their books, the 2 meals a day, that it's usually their only meal, and a chance for us to change their destiny. Otherwise, there was no hope there. There was nothing there. I mean, they didn't even have water. So, sorry, I get choked up talking about my babies.
Gracie?
Yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah, my little Gracie. Oh my goodness. If you saw how these people live, it just brings you to tears. But her and her mom and her siblings, they all lived in their little rented house. And then it got sold, so they told they were having to move. I, of course,
Standing in front of the mud hut going, what are we going to do about this?
what is going on? So I go to the pastor, what's going to be done about this? this. I need to know right now. And so, needless to say, God answered our prayers, and they have a new rented home. Gracie's mom, if you saw a before and after picture of her, she's very dirty, raggedy, you know, and now you see her, and she's got on one of the dresses the women sewed. She looks clean. She has a pride within her, and it's amazing to see that. And then I know my little Gracie's happy too. So.
Yes, and Tracy's sponsored child, Eileen, is sisters with Gracie.
Right, that's right, you were telling me that.
Yeah.
So, like I said, for $50 a day, I mean, I spend double that going out to dinner with my husband. So, if you can find it in your heart to sponsor one of our babies, we have magnets with us. You can look through them, and if a child touches your heart, I would just pray that God, you listen to that hope that God plays in your heart.
Thank you. Yeah, and if you decide to sponsor, just talk to any of us afterwards, and then if you decide not to sponsor, just leave it on the table, then we can use it for our next event. But we also have Nancy. Nancy sponsors two of our children. Anybody else here sponsor any of our children that I'm not aware of? Okay, so Tracy and Nancy. So yeah, it's definitely, challenging at times with, with doing fundraisers and trying to help the families, because what we're finding now is it's not just the kids, it's not just the school, it's now the moms. And then, it just keeps spreading like that. So that's why we started the vocational school. And Gracie's mom and Irene's mom, we got a sponsor to pay for her salary for a full year. So now she's working with us for a couple days a week, and she's working, we're paying her to help the teachers. So when the kids are out on recess, the teachers can do their work, and like Jennifer said, it's the pride. She feels very prideful, and like, okay, but I'm making a difference. She's with the women from the vocational school, and I saw a picture of all of them with the same dresses. I call them tiaras. And she's just smiling. She feels part of a community now. So it's not just about the little kiddos, which is originally what we were going for. Nancy?
Just talk a little bit about how when you go out there in January, you take videos and send them, and it's more personalized than some of the other, like Compassion. I've sponsored a couple of kids with Compassion International too, and I write letters back and forth, but there's no video. It seems much less personal, and it takes months for the letters to come back and forth, and it's always, you send your money to a central clearinghouse, whatever. I give my check to Kathy. She sends me a video. It's just much more personal. I know exactly where the money's going.
Yes. And 100% of the money goes over there. Actually, no, it doesn't. We help local families also.
Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because it says local too. We're talking about what you do locally.
Right, good point, very good point. We do give a percentage of all our fundraising to local families. We help Life Choices in Burlington. I was on the board of directors there for a year, and they help single family homes, and they do Mighty Moms Night on Mondays, and basically they teach them about budgeting, parenting, things like that. And you can volunteer and go hold babies while the parents are getting their education. We help with Love Inc. We have families that come into my studio and they need help with school supplies or shoes. We have an ongoing shoe drive. We take some of them to Kenya, we give some to Life Choices. We have them in case somebody needs them. So thank you, Nancy, for pointing that out. That I do tend to forget to talk about the local part of it, because unless people say, well, why don't you help locally? Well, actually we do. And that's why I put it on this card. So thank you, Nancy, for that. With the sponsorship, we try to make it very personal. We send pictures, videos. When we go over in December, if there's a gift sent, we take pictures and videos of them opening the gift so then the sponsors can see it. And all of the volunteers here, everybody involved in America, they don't get paid for it. It's all volunteer. In Kenya, we have 8, 9, 10. We have 11 staff members over there. So we do pay them to teach our children, to pastor to the people in the village. So, so we do pay them over there. But all right, I think that's it. Anybody have any questions? I love questions.
Do you ever feel, because I mean, the things I do are nothing like thinking about these lives and you're holding this all, I mean, I know you're not holding it all, but at some point, maybe you feel that. And then how do you, I mean, obviously you probably pray about it and all that, but it's gotta be pretty weighty.
When it gets weighted on me is when I try to be in control of it. Like for an example, you know, we just had an event, so we made a large amount of money. So that's sitting in savings right now. That makes me feel really good, and it's less stressful. This is my busy season for the photography studio, so it really gives me peace with changing a destiny. When I start to get nervous is like right before a fundraiser, because I know that money in savings is going down, because we're short about $2,000 a month to pay for everything over there. But with the fundraising, it takes care of it. I just take it out of savings every month. That's why we're really pushing the sponsorship, so we can get fully funded, so then we don't have to depend on fundraisers as much. That's our goal. So I do feel the weight when that money starts to go down in savings, because there's no way that I can pay for that. I don't make enough money to cover the bills. So, but then God always provides. I got a phone call last week. One of the ladies, Joanne, that built the school, she's like, yeah, somebody just dropped off a $1,000 check and then a $400 check. And I'm like, so when I start to feel that, Linda, that's when God comes in and says, here, just keep going, just keep doing. And I gotta rely on Him, and not to think that I'm in control and I'm gonna make all the decisions. And that's why I really rely on my team to help me through those days and be like, for some reason I have anxiety, I'm freaking out, and I need help. And I've learned to ask for help and talk about my feelings and not be the superhero woman that's doing this all on her own. No, it's not me, it's God. I mean, I can tell you my childhood and the dysfunction of that, and most people that come from a childhood like that, they're on the other path, alcoholic, kids from different dads. I've been married for 30 years, it's just totally different. And that's God. And that's what keeps me humble. So it does get heavy, but God always comes in. And I love doing this. We actually prayed about doing more of these like Bible studies, women Bible studies, and conferences and things like that. And then when Linda called me, I'm like,
Well, and it just was one of those things, because I had a couple of people who spoke the last time, and I was like, okay, boldness. Kathy. And then she was available. I mean, it wasn't that long ago. I just asked you. It wasn't like this was planned a long time ago. This was just he gave it to me, I threw it out to you, and you said, yeah. So it's just saying, yeah, it's when you're prompted to not push it down or ignore it, it's to say, I mean, and I'm sure you have, and I know I have, I'm like, seriously, you think you got the right person here?
Right.
I mean, I argue with them, I don't just know. I'm like,
Well, I think the key thing too is having one or two people in your corner that believe in you. Because when God gives you a vision, something excited, I mean, people can squash it so easy. It's just this tiny little seed of faith. And if you have people like I had in my corner, they're the ones that lifted me up. They're the ones that let me borrow their faith to do what God wanted me to do. So, any other questions?
That's a good reason why we're all together, and why we need to have those people that you can call in a moment and say, I'm struggling with this. Can you listen to me? Can we pray about that? And because you can't.
Community.
Yeah, you need a group of helpers. So.
Okay. All right, well, let me know if you have any questions.